Hi, my name is Ladarius Campbell, and I'm here to let you know. I think giving myself grace to grow into what I'm building. I think naturally I don't want to be bad at something. And I've been blessed to build what I've built with my social media influence well, and I'm good at it. And I think that becoming an expert in that field, in a sense, like made me forget that once upon a time I was bad at what I was doing until I became an expert. So I think that as I'm now growing more and trying to diversify, it's like you don't know certain areas of what you're doing, but like you will as you continue to give yourself to the process. So grace, man, it's important. I think that being able to have a bit more positive self-talk, I think the narrative that I have inside my head can be more of a critic than a cheerleader. And I think that sometimes while I may be operating in excellence and doing great things, the way that I feel in the process of doing it, it kind of can feel discouraging or feel heavy, as opposed to like, cheering myself on and feeling good about like the process of subduing whatever I'm trying to do. So, yeah. I do believe I am successful. And the justification for that in my mind is how I love others and how others love me. I think that my success is measured by my character and how I show up for those that are in my life. And it's not necessarily like a monetary, numerical kind of success, more so than it is like my wife and my kids. Like I see like how I love them and how they love me back, how they feel loved, how they feel seen. Because ultimately, these physical things like the riches, the recognition, that stuff will go away eventually. But how I love them and how I show up for them will remain forever. So like that impact and seeing it materialize and how they are developing as people and how they're influenced by what I'm doing matters more than anything else to me. And that's kind of how I measure my success. I think it is expectancy, I would say. I think a lot of, in my past, because I was brought up in like a lot of trauma, a lot of dysfunction, it's kind of informed me of kind of playing it safe, right? And doing things that don't really put you at risk. So it's been all about safety and security, but I feel like where God is calling me to at least requires a different level of expectancy, which also requires a different level of risk to put myself out there. And I think that for me, it's kind of like carrying the experiences of what I've experienced in the past and not allowing that to inform me of what the future holds, but trusting that like God has my back and I can expect great things. I can, hope for the best and see those things like really become real and materialize before my very eyes. So I think that like that's something that I'm working on for sure. Something I didn't accomplish, I wanted to create a course. And the course was gonna be something that actually didn't exist before I thought about it. And then somebody created the course. And I was like, wow. And they're making a lot of money doing it. And it was gonna be a training on a specific software. And it's like, I should have ran with that. But I think ultimately, what the heart posture behind wanting to branch out and do that for was me feeling like I want to do more than just social media influence from like hey, here's what to wear, this is how you wear it. And I wanted to do more than just that and step out and diversify beyond that. And although I didn't accomplish that direct project, I am still moving the ball forward in diversification. So it may not have been the same avenue, it's still something that like I'm living out. The next 6 months, what do I want to accomplish? So I recently launched an online community for fathers. It's called the Stylish Dads Club, shout out. And I think that just scaling that as much as I possibly can is what I really want to accomplish. A lot of it is boiling down to being more collaborative to build it, which was the heart of building it. Was like, I want to stay in community as I'm building it. So I think that just like scaling that, being in community, empowering other fathers to be the best they can be while also showing up for themselves is like what I really want to do in the next 6 months. I think that to like me I would say it's not as important anymore. I would say I come from like the background of people pleasing, and I've saw the limitation of that, which has allowed me to break free of that to a certain extent, because sometimes people don't respond well to what they need because they're not ready to receive it. So they may not like it, but it doesn't mean that they don't need it still. So I think that for me, it's not very important for people to like me. I mean, I would prefer it, but I don't need it. To know me, it's very important. I think that I'm a big heart posture person. When it comes to like actions, when it comes to how I move, it's like to know me is to know my heart. And to know my heart is to not only look at the actions or the things that I do, but to assume like I know his heart. So whatever he's doing, he's moving about it in a way that is in alignment with his heart posture. So I think that for me, it's very important for people to know me. And I think that there's a very clear line between those that know me and those that don't, you know. And it's funny because I've changed a lot over the course of my life. And some people who knew me in one season of my life don't know me now. And it's like I say that line is very clear because it's like there's certain characteristics or expectations that are outdated because they don't know the new me. So, yeah. Recently, I think that I've been doing a lot of traveling. Like I said, I launched the online community, and I think the cause of it came from something that kind of happens easily, I think, to everybody at some point in time as you're building things, which is like, it's up to me to make this successful. It's all on my shoulders. It's all for me to bear. And when you come under that weight, it's heavy, you know, and when you're bearing that weight, it's exhausting. It's too heavy for you to carry. And I believe through faith that like God has called me to do all these great things, like launching this online community, but it's like because of the gravity of it, I have to make sure I'm staying in surrender to him and staying in this space where I am like casting my worries upon him. But it's like, I think that for me, what caused the burnout is like, I'm putting my worries on myself and I have to do this. And it's like, I have to remind myself, like, if this is will, it'll be done. If not, it won't be done, but you have to trust that whatever is being done is what he wants to be done. And like, don't take that weight for yourself. So I think that for me, it's just like remembering to pass that weight back over to him versus trying to hold it, shoulder it all myself. Yeah. I think that what genuinely makes me happy now is understanding that I'm becoming who God wants me to be. And I think the old version of myself was more so concerned about who everybody else wanted me to be. And becoming who God wants me to be has a lot more to do with the inside versus the outside. And nobody can take that away from me. No circumstance, no situation can take that away from me. So it's like, for me, I think what brings me joy is like, you're really him. You're becoming him, you know? And it's like, there's a lot of joy associated with that for sure. So I would say being able to have agency in my schedule to spend time with my family is what brings me joy for sure. I think at an earlier state of my life, I didn't have the agency of making my own schedule. And of course I work a lot for sure, but I think that, you know, then versus now I have that agency and that autonomy, and I'm honoring that by spending time with my family, you know, and being able to, you know, be present for the like, school activities that my daughter may have. I'm able to like, you know, spend time with my family like after work, you know, versus like always being on. So I think that that's one thing that gives me joy. Slow Saturdays bring me great joy because they come few and far between, first of all. But I would never think that slowness would bring me joy, because like a formative younger version of myself was always looking for the next move, the next party, the next thing to do. And it's like, and as somebody who owns his own business, it's like I'm always on. So I think that the appreciation of just slowness and just not having anything on the schedule brings me significant joy as well. Wow, that's a good question. That's a really good question. I would say, firstly, I think a lot of my plan had to do with me and me only. what I could acquire, what I could get, what I could get out of people, what I could get out of opportunities. And it was very selfish and self-centered, I think. And how it's changed is it's been more others focused. And I would even say it's been something where it was a lot of external things that I wanted. Like I wanted the house, I wanted the car, I wanted the money, you know, I wanted all of those different things. And those things are nice, but it's like ultimately what has, I guess, developed over time is I've seen the importance of, you can have all the money, all the beautiful car, the beautiful family, and have terrible character, and it really doesn't mean anything, you know? So for me, I think the shift has went inward from like, if it does have to do with me, it's about how to develop my character to be better for others, as opposed to just being selfish and like trying to gain and get and take and take and take. So I think that that's a huge pivot. And it's crazy because I said I wanted to be an actor when I grew up. And to a certain extent, you know, we landed close with influencing, so yeah. I would say, and this is more theoretical than physical, I think I wanted to be impactful. At a very young age, I wanted to be impactful because I was raised in an environment that didn't match what I felt on the inside. It was the opposite: drug culture, domestic violence, you know, and I always knew there was more to life, and I couldn't explain it, and I couldn't see it around me until I eventually went to college, traveled the world and stuff like that. And then from there, I was like, oh, it is something different out here, and I'm seeing it. So I think that I've always wanted to like be impactful in that way of like exposing people to, there's more, there's greater, there's different. And the little boy who needed that tangible example cannot be that for somebody else. I think that like for me, it's like, I've always wanted to make an impact and be an inspiration. And I think that I've definitely subdued that for sure. My relationship with my mom kind of, I think, being something that was mended and like resolved, if you will. She passed away in 2016, so like we never got the chance to like really like resolve our relationship. And it's like living in what I'm living in now, there's a part of me that's like sad that she can't see it. And like there's also this side of me that's like, you know, what would our relationship have developed into being with me being the healed, whole version of who I am? I think I've always wanted, beyond 18, I've always wanted better for our relationship. But I think that, you know, that's one thing I kind of think about sometimes, is like, what would it look like now? I would have to go back to the positive self-talk piece, is talk nicer to yourself, because you're doing better than you think you are. I think that, I mean, I can use that advice still now to this day. It's just like, I think we all have this version of ourselves that feels like we're not on track. We're not as far ahead as we should be. And I think that for myself, I could have used somebody, I could have used the advice of like, you're doing better than you think. Have some grace for yourself and some compassion on yourself, because what you're creating and where you are is way further than where you should be given the circumstance you were given in life. So I think that like just giving yourself grace and talking nicer to yourself, for sure. I realized I was living my life on my own terms, and this is what it led to, right? It led to this moment, and I was like ready to surrender my life to God at that point. I'm like, God, this is what I've done on my own strength. This is what my life has led up to. It's broken, it's shattered, it's ugly, but you can have it all. And in that moment, I completely surrendered my life to Him. It was broken, it was shattered, and my faith in my relationship with God from that moment on just blossomed. And it's like, it was a moment in my life where in the moment it felt heavy, it felt hard, it felt like, where do I go from here? But it's like, looking back, it's the cornerstone of, you know, my faith walk, and seeing the fruit that came from that situation. I think that I appreciate it now, even though in the moment I couldn't, but like seeing what God has created through that surrender and that desperation, I wouldn't trade it for the world, man. I think that my mom specifically, because my dad's still alive, and we have a rapport, so I talk to him often. But I think that my parents were very young when they had me, right? Like I'm 34, my dad's like 48. So yeah, they were children when they had me. I was 28 when I had my daughter, so it's like, and it was like still hard. But I would say you can be better. And I think that like, as scared as I was to say that to my mom in life, it's like, I just wonder how different her life would have ended up. Because my mom struggled with alcohol abuse. And, you know, it really consumed her, you know? So I think that telling her, maybe not in like that direct way, you can be better, but like challenging her to, you know, kind of challenge the status quo of what she was raised in is something I think that would be beneficial to telling her. Ooh, I would say, man, being an authoritarian, I think is something that I went into parenthood with the expectation of like, that's my badge of honor. It's like, I'm gonna be no nonsense kind of a parent, right? And then I decided to abandon that when I seen that a big part of that stemmed from a lack of empathy. And I saw the negative impact of not having empathy for my children and how it was a barrier to the connection that I had with them. It was a barrier to me being patient with them and compassionate with them. And it's something like, I wanted that to be a part of our relationship, those things to be a part of our relationship. But doing the work on myself, I realized, you know, being all disciplinarian, all authoritarian it stems from a lack of empathy. And I always, you know, one thing I kind of try to live by that I've told myself over the years is like, authority without love feels like abuse, but love without authority feels like chaos. So it's like, it takes a beautiful balance of both, but I think that going into it, because of that's how I was raised, do what I say, you know, I thought that was the right way to go about it, but in practice and in action, I saw the fallacy in that. I think I would still do what I'm doing first. Like, I think it will always be a part of what I did ultimately. Outside of that, I probably would kind of be more of a behind the scenes kind of version of like helping others build their vision. Because one thing I feel like God has blessed me with is He gives me this gift of being able to, of course, see my own vision and then bring it to completion, but also see others' visions and bring it to completion as well. And it's like sometimes better than they will be able to do it themselves. So I think that if I wasn't building my own brand and building a brand around myself, I think that at some capacity, whether that be advertising, marketing, you know, being a videographer or photographer, like doing some form of vision cultivation would be something I would probably be doing for a living still. Give myself a compliment. I would say that you're super resilient and you have a lot to offer.
Cool.
Yeah.
That was it.
Hey, man.
Stuff.
Got a little deep on there.
No.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah, for sure, man.
All right.
All right.